Tensions in the Oval Office reached an all-time high as former President Donald Trump, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and U.S. Senator JD Vance engaged in an explosive, heated argument that shocked political insiders. What led to this fiery confrontation? It all started as a formal diplomatic discussion between Trump and Zelensky regarding U.S. involvement in Ukraine's ongoing conflict. However, as the conversation took a sharp turn, JD Vance, known for his isolationist views, challenged Zelensky's requests for military aid, setting off a chain reaction that no one saw coming. Zelensky firmly stated that the survival of Ukraine depended on continued U.S. support, emphasizing that America had always stood for freedom and that this was not the time to abandon its allies. JD Vance, however, countered by arguing that the American people were tired of funding foreign wars while their own economy and borders remained in crisis. Trump, caught in the middle, attempted to mediate but also pressed Zelensky for accountability regarding the billions of dollars already sent to Ukraine. The discussion quickly escalated as Zelensky accused Vance of undermining democratic values, while Vance responded by questioning Ukraine's transparency. Trump, in his characteristic blunt style, insisted that under his leadership, none of this would have happened, claiming that Putin would not have dared to invade and that NATO would have been held accountable. The confrontation only grew more intense, as Zelensky warned that abandoning Ukraine would send a dangerous message to the world and embolden Russia to continue its aggression. Vance, on the other hand, stood his ground, emphasizing that the U.S. needed to focus on its own citizens and move away from endless foreign entanglements. As the argument raged on, Trump attempted to steer the discussion toward practical solutions, asserting that his administration had maintained a stronger global stance without unnecessary conflicts. He pointed out that the war would have been avoided altogether if NATO had been held more accountable for its commitments, and if Ukraine had pursued diplomacy earlier instead of relying solely on Western military aid. The debate became even more heated when Zelensky reminded Trump about the 2019 impeachment inquiry that stemmed from their previous interactions, questioning whether Trump's past decisions had influenced the current crisis. Trump dismissed the accusation, shifting the focus back to the present and arguing that Biden's leadership had weakened the U.S. stance on global affairs. Vance took the opportunity to highlight the economic strain that ongoing foreign aid had placed on American taxpayers, citing increasing inflation and a struggling domestic workforce as primary concerns. Amid the heated debate, reports suggest that White House officials present at the meeting were taken aback by the level of intensity in the room. The discussion reportedly bordered on chaos, with voices raised, accusations exchanged, and tensions boiling over. Political analysts believe that this conversation highlights the growing divide within the Republican Party, one faction advocating for continued U.S. involvement in global affairs, while another pushes for a more nationalist, America First approach. The conversation soon shifted towards the broader geopolitical implications of the conflict. Zelensky stressed that a weakened Ukraine would allow Russia to gain further control over Eastern Europe, which could have devastating consequences for global stability. He warned that other authoritarian regimes, including China, were closely watching how the West handled this crisis, and any sign of weakness could embolden aggressive actions elsewhere, such as in Taiwan. Vance, however, remained firm in his belief that the U.S. should not be the world's police force, arguing that European nations needed to step up and take greater responsibility for their own security. Trump, attempting to regain control of the conversation, brought up the failures of previous administrations, blaming both Democrats and Republicans for entangling the U.S. in endless conflicts without clear strategies for exit or long-term peace. He proposed that any future aid to Ukraine be contingent on stronger diplomatic efforts, suggesting that negotiations with Russia needed to be prioritized alongside military support. Zelensky pushed back, arguing that negotiating with Putin under current conditions would be seen as a sign of weakness and could further endanger Ukrainian sovereignty. As the meeting stretched on, sources close to the discussion revealed that emotions ran high, with Zelensky at times visibly frustrated by the skepticism he faced. Vance, on the other hand, remained unwavering in his stance, advocating for a complete reassessment of America's foreign aid policies. Trump, meanwhile, played the role of both mediator and provocateur, acknowledging Zelensky's concerns while also reinforcing the argument that U.S. interests must come first. The explosive nature of this argument has left Washington deeply divided, with lawmakers and political commentators weighing in on its significance. Supporters of Zelensky argue that America has a moral and strategic obligation to stand by Ukraine, warning that withdrawing support would have dire consequences for global democracy. Meanwhile, Vance's allies see his position as a necessary shift in foreign policy, one that prioritizes American taxpayers and national interests over continued involvement in overseas conflicts. After nearly 2 hours of heated exchanges, the meeting concluded with no definitive resolution, but its impact was immediate. Trump, as always, left the room as the central figure of attention, keeping his cards close to his chest regarding his exact position on future Ukraine aid. Zelensky departed with lingering concerns about the reliability of U.S. support, while Vance solidified his role as a rising leader in the nationalist, anti-interventionist wing of the Republican Party. This shocking confrontation has sent ripples through the political world, leaving many questions unanswered. Will Trump's potential return to the White House alter America's role in global conflicts? Can Zelensky secure long-term commitments from the U.S., or will growing isolationist sentiments shift the nation's priorities inward? And how will this defining moment shape the Republican Party's foreign policy platform moving forward? One thing is certain: this dramatic Oval Office showdown will be remembered as a pivotal moment in the ongoing debate over America's place in the world. As speculation swirls, the world watches closely, awaiting the next move in this high-stakes political drama. Let us know your thoughts. Should the U.S. continue to support Ukraine, or is it time to pull back and refocus on domestic challenges? The future of international politics may depend on how these leaders choose to navigate this volatile situation.